Well, that looks like we're live. Hello, my name is Roger. Welcome to the first Lunch and Learn for 2016. Today we're going to talk about how much of a hack is your fault, and hopefully we'll work out how you can stop it from becoming your fault and do something about it. So let me just bring up my slides. And then everything going according to plan, we should be right to go. Okay, we present to everybody, and we go to there, and everything should now be working. Look at that. So, welcome. In today's society, everybody is connected to the digital world, which makes it very easy for us to make assumptions about that place. At the moment, the cyberspace, as it was coined by William Gibson in the late 1980s, has a population of around 2.6 billion people. And they're using the internet and the digital space for literally everything that we use our normal everyday environment for. So we're socializing in it, we're running businesses on it, we're networking in it, we're innovating, as in what happens with apps and cloud computing. We have websites, and we use it for marketing as well. So the digital world is our oyster, and all we have to do is use it. Now, because we've got 2.6 billion people using it, in 1 minute of the internet, we are now uploading or doing $2.4 million searches every minute. And we're uploading or tweeting 500,000 tweets per minute. But one of the biggest problems is we're having 30 people compromised every minute. So that's 1 every 2 seconds, and that is increasing all the time. So we need to find out why this is happening. And one of the reasons why it's happening is because everybody is using the digital world and nobody has an understanding of how dangerous that digital world can be. The reason why we're moving to the digital world, it's cost effective. It really is cheap and easy to use. And on top of that, we have the convenience. We have the convenience because I can sit in a cafe and quite happily pay my bills, or talk to someone on Skype, or I can do whatever I like on the digital world, and I can do it from anywhere as long as I have an internet connection. And that is very important for how the digital world is actually being used. The trouble is, the digital world for us is really only the tip of the iceberg. So that normal search engine that we use to find information, and 20% of those searches that we do in the digital world is a new search, according to Google. We then have this problem that we're only seeing 10%. And that 10% is just what we normally use. It's 90% of the usage. We then have a separate section called the deep web. And the deep web is really areas that are not indexed by Google and Bing and Yahoo, and nobody understands what's down there. And then on top of that, we've got the dark web. Now, the dark web is where you can literally buy and sell anything. I can take out a hit on my neighbour if his noise is annoying me, or I can buy drugs and have them delivered. So all of that component of the deep web is something that law enforcement is trying to counteract, but to get into the deep web, you need sophisticated encryption applications to get there. One of the best known is Tor. Now, let's talk about crime and the exponential crime, exponential rise in crime. And the difference is that the rewards and the number of targets for a normal criminal has now stayed pretty static. But in the digital world, it's become exponential. When we first started crime in the early times when we were all running around in in living in caves and running around with clubs on our backs. It was a one-on-one crime. I wanted something from you, so I either beat you up or I just stole it from you. We then had the introduction of banks and stagecoaches and railways, and we had a group of people or one person stealing from a larger group of people. In 2014, the target hack was a small group of people stealing from 34 million people. So as we can see, exponential crime is there, and we have to do something about it. So why are they targeting everybody? Everybody who is connected to the digital world has something that they want to steal. Whether it's your money, or your access to money, or your access to your credit cards, or it could be your intellectual property, or your trade secrets, or your personal information. And personal information in the digital world literally is money. It's money in their pockets. And that's something that we all have to remember when we're putting our digital personas out on the internet. And then we have our technology. And our technology has a monetary value depending on what they get hold of. For instance, if you've got your wireless hasn't got a decent password, it can be used to attack other people. But by compromising our technology, so our computers, our laptops, our tablets, our phones, you are then making a monetary deposit for the bad guys. And your email account is worth somewhere between $20 and $40 because they can use it to do other things. But your technology itself is worth so much more because you have access as yourself using that technology to everything on the digital world. And that's why we have to be very careful about why we need to protect ourselves. So how do they get in? Well, one of the things they do is they rely on trust. When I meet someone in person, I shake their hands, I assess who they are and what they're doing, whether they're stooped over, whether I can trust them. The trouble is, in the digital world, we haven't got that option. And the bad guys target our gullibility. And they target our honesty, because 90% of us are relatively honest. Yes, if you see $20 lying on a table, you'll probably take it. But you won't take $20 out of someone else's wallet. And that's our honesty level. And then we're human. And we keep forgetting that the digital world is not designed for humans. It's designed for our personas. And those personas are not human, and definitely the bad guys is definitely not. But we also have social media. And social media nowadays is such an over-encompassing part of our lives. We are spending larger and larger amounts of time on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and YouTube and all these sort of things. But when you're using your social media, how do you know that this person is not really this person? Because the only thing you're going on is how they look and someone else's recommendation. And this is where social engineering also comes into it, because the bad guys use social media to find out who you are, what you do, why you do it. But the number one attack weapon of the digital bad guy is spam. The old email that comes in that's either helping a Nigerian prince or selling Viagra. We've always had it for the last 20 odd years. But the bad guys got clever. They saw the opportunities that not many people actually saw. They saw the opportunities to be able to send someone an email and have them take the bait. And then we had the birth of the phishing email. And the phishing email is now getting more and more complex. And we're now seeing emails from the Australian Post Office or the ATO or Internal Revenue in the US, or whatever the Canadian version is. And we see those happening regularly. But then they took it to another level. And the second level they take it to is a spear phishing email. And a spear phishing email is specifically targeted at you, because they're specifically targeted at getting you to click on that link or open that attachment. The RSA hack that happened in 2011 was targeted at 5 specific people inside RSA. And it was targeted at a group of incoming accounts. And the email itself had an infected Excel spreadsheet in it, and that's how they got in, because one of those 5 people opened that email. And with spam, it's probably 1%. With phishing, it's probably 5 or 6%. With spear phishing, they're getting a rate of somewhere between 15 and 25%. So they are using that to target you, because they actually know who you are. And all of these things are targeting one specific thing. And those specific things are exploits in the system that you're using. Whether that's an application on Microsoft or an app on Android, all of these systems have exploits. And we're constantly reminded of this by Microsoft coming up and saying you need to update, or Android saying there's a new version out, or iOS saying you need to update your iOS. And all of these are targeted at specific things. And they're operating systems and they are applications. And they are there to try and remove make us more vulnerable than anything else. So we've got exploits. And exploits can be taken to another level. And a compromised website that you have got to through Chrome or through Internet Explorer, or what it's now called, which is Edge, then they are also specifically targeting you for a specific reason. Who's ever gone to a website and there's been a box in the front screen that says you need to update Flash, otherwise this video won't run? Well, most of those are because of being infected at that level. But the bad guys, as I said before, and as I constantly say, they are a clever group of people. And they know other things. One of the other things they do is they'll compromise search. Now, search is really part of what we do on the internet. And now they've got to the level where they'll compromise the search results so that people are going to landing pages which then connect to malware. So, if that's what they're after, and that's how they get in, why is it my fault? Well, if you're using the digital world, it's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to keep your information and your system secure. It's also your responsibility to protect your assets and also to understand the dangers. People have this attitude to the digital world that nothing I do on it is going to hurt me. I'm afraid you're wrong, because anything you can do on the internet, on the digital world, can cause a problem. So if it's our responsibility, we have to change our attitude. And we have to change the attitude of all the users in the digital world. It's not the responsibility of government to legislate or corporations and organisations to comply if you're stupid enough to give them all of that information that they don't really need. And if it is our responsibility, what are the basics that we need to protect? Well, let's have a look at a few of them. Passwords. We hate them, but they are the passport to the digital world. Every website that has some content that you want has a password. And the combination of username, usually your email address, and password is very, very prevalent in the digital world. And you don't want to be in a situation where you use the same one all the time. Because what happens with that is you might have 3 websites: PayPal, Facebook, and some obscure little website that you went to, saw something on marketing and downloaded it as a PDF, but they needed your username and password to do that. So you had to create an account. So they've got your email address, joeblow@wherever.com, and they've got your standard password. Now they're going to apply that combination to Facebook or PayPal. And if you're using the same combination, you've just lost control of your Facebook account and your PayPal account. So what we tell people, passwords have to be complex. Anything that's on the keyboard is fair game. And if you're going to sites that do not allow you to put characters on there, or they restrict the use, it's a good idea not to create a password there. We have to have more than 8 characters. And the reason why we have to have more than 8 characters, because it can take a supercomputer 24 hours to break an 8-character password. So we have to have more characters. And we have to have one for each, unique for each site. As I said, we need to be able to go, if that site gets compromised and it's only got your username and password and your first name, not a big deal, because that password is not going to have any impact on anything else in the digital world. The second thing we need to look at is patching. We all get told that we need to apply updates, or we need to patch this, or we need to apply that. The best thing you can do to protect yourself is apply them in a timely fashion. And what I mean by timely is you don't have to do it straight away, but if you're really, really busy and you can't be bothered restarting your computer, well, wait until you're not busy and then shut down and apply updates. So the next time you log on, everything's nice and clean and shiny. The next thing we have to worry about is antivirus. And there are 2 schools of thought about in the digital security realms. One is they love antivirus, the others don't. And to me, any protection is something to start off with. And we recommend a product called FortiClient, and that FortiClient will fit on anything. So it'll sit on iOS, it'll sit on Apple, it'll sit on Microsoft, it'll sit on Android, and it will protect all of those devices as required. And that's what you need the system to do. And if you've got antivirus, you also need to install a firewall. And most systems now have firewalls, most operating systems have firewalls. They also have sandpits, which means that code can't run on the main system, but it'll run in the sandpit and it'll be analyzed before it gets anywhere else. But a firewall stops your digital system from connecting to the internet and from them getting back to you. And although we're always on, like all of our systems are always on when we're connected to the internet, this makes sure that those people out there can't physically get into your system. So the next thing we have to worry about is our data. Anything can happen to our devices. We can drop them in a toilet, we can have them stolen, we can break them. And when it comes to data, it's very, very liquid. When you turn it off and break the system, there's a good chance that you're going to lose that information. So when you drop your phone in the toilet and it gets all wet and soggy, you know because you've backed it up, that it's not that big a deal. Yes, it could be expensive, but it's not that big a deal. And if you're like me and have no idea about people's numbers, but they come up with Peter on the thing, and you know Peter, so you quite happily answer it. But if it came up as 0404, whatever, then there's a good chance that you'll look at it blankly and go, who the hell is that? And that's what backing up is all about. And there's two things that we try to enforce all of the time. One is get paranoid. The bad guys are out there, they're targeting you, and the best way you can do and protect yourself is to go, I don't trust you. So being paranoid means you trust no one. And trusting no one in the digital world is a really good place to start. And the other one is use common sense. Going back to that compromised search. If I'm looking for a driver from HP for a printer, for instance, because my driver's not working, or I've just bought another driver and printer and they didn't supply it. Well, the problem now is that I can do a search on HP driver for printer whatever, and the first 4 or 5 results from search will point to somewhere else. They won't point to HP, because HP is www.hp.com/whatever. So you have to look, again, using common sense, look at the domain it's going to. If you're looking for a Dell driver, go to Dell. If you're looking for an HP driver, go to HP. Kai Sierra driver, go to Kai Sierra. And those are why you need to make sure that you're using your common sense. Don't just click on the first one at the top of the list, because I can guarantee it'll install spyware and everything else that you can think of. So using common sense is not only protecting you, it's making it a lot easier for you to get the results you want without all the inconvenience of having all that spyware crap installed on your system. To make sure being hacked is not your fault, you need to use complicated, individual and unique passwords. You need to patch everything in a timely fashion. You need to use a very good antivirus, whether it's a paid one or a free one. Use an antivirus, because it will catch 99.9% of all the bad crap that's coming out of the digital world. Never turn off your firewall, because your firewall is your protection between the digital world and your device. Get paranoid. Be paranoid about what you're doing all the time, and use common sense, because that is the only way you're going to protect yourself. So, where to from here? This is just a basic overview of how you can stop yourself being hacked. And if you do get hacked, if you haven't done the basics, then it is your fault. Don't blame anybody else if you haven't patched your system, or if you're not running antivirus, or you don't have a firewall, or you haven't backed it all up. Because it is nobody else's responsibility apart from yours. I have a system called Buy Me a Cup of Coffee. And for anybody in business, if you're not sure about your digital security, or you need some feedback on what you are doing, or your IT department or your IT person keeps throwing acronyms at you and gobbledygook, come and talk. Because if you come and talk to us, we will help you and help you well. And if you go to that link, and also go to www.rogersmith.com.au/Roger/coffee, and you fill in the form that's on that page, and you use 25% discount as a code, you will get 25% discount off the price of buying me coffee. And yes, it is an expensive cup of coffee, but it is definitely well worth it. If you want any more information, I have 2 books out there. Basics of Business Information is free. Cybercrime, Clear and Present Danger, which is a management guide to cybersecurity, is really is expensive, but it's well worth the read. And if you want to get in contact with us or follow us on social media, those are all the details that you need. And these webinars, we are now running 2 to 4 of them a month. And the complete list of what is happening is on the bottom of my homepage. So thank you very much. It has been much appreciated that you come here. Are there any questions? So if there's no questions, I will close it up. Thank you very much for your time. It is much appreciated. And if you go to, when you close this off, and you go to the thanks page, please fill in the blank form on the back so that we can get some feedback on what we're doing. Thank you very much.